My Legoland trip. Wow, you're making a video about one trip? Come on! What did you just say? What I just said? You'll regret this. Anyways, today we're gonna talk about my trip to Legoland. And because I'm from Denmark, we went to the Legoland in Billund. And actually, we went there on my mom's birthday. So we had to wake up super early and take 2 trains because, of course, since it's me, there was track work. So we had to take a train from the city I lived in to another city, take a train from that city to Copenhagen, where we would meet my aunt. So we did that. Then we walked over to the bus where we should be sitting for 3 hours. My mom and I sat beside each other and my aunt sat in front of us. And about an hour and a half of sitting in a bus, my aunt turns around to my mom and shows her something on her phone. And my mom just burst out laughing. So of course, I wanted to find out why she was laughing. But instead of asking her like a normal person, I drew a drawing of me where I wrote, "What was so funny?" And yes, I know, I'm weird. So I handed my mom the drawing and she told me the most shocking news ever. She told me that in Billund airport there had been a bomb threat. And I was like, what? She said that it wasn't anything, so I didn't think much of it. When we finally arrived, there were police everywhere. Because Legoland is close to the airport, and it turns out that there also had been an ATM or something near Legoland that had been blown up. So could this trip go any worse? The answer is yes. Well, kind of. We check in on the hotel and everything actually goes fine. There are only spaced 2 people per room and I slept with my mom while my aunt slept alone. 2 rooms was beside each other and then there was a large gap and then 2 rooms again and then a big gap again and then 2 rooms again and then a big gap again. Okay, I'll stop now. And we planned it so our rooms could be beside each other. But of course, we got the rooms with a gap between. This was our second time in Legoland, so we knew a few things. The last time in Legoland, we saw this booth where you could get your own driver's license. But the line was so long that we waited. And when there finally wasn't anyone in the line, we walked over and found out why. It was closed. But this time, we made sure that I would get a driver's license. So we booked a time and explored Legoland. We remembered this really fun ride from our last time. So we went in line and trust me, you gotta try that ride. It's fantastic. It's like a VR set, but just a ride in real life. Kinda like watching a movie. It's called Emmett's Flying Adventure, I think. If you ever go to Legoland, I really recommend it. When we got out of the ride, we had more than enough time to get to the driver's license booth. When we got there, it hailed, of course, since it's me. Anyways, we should write our name and of course, I wrote MC Fine. And yes, that's how I pronounce it. You don't need to, but that's how I pronounce my name. And our age, and then a picture we got taken. We should say what our name and age was so the workers knew we paid. So it was kinda awkward to say my name. When it finally started, me and a bunch of other kids should choose our flag. And you all know which flag I chose. So we were walking behind the workers and they told us to choose a car and set our flag in the car. And then 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah, we bumped into each other at the start, but I learned it pretty quickly and I got it going. I saw that there was this car wash, but I couldn't see the way in. I decided to drive away from it to learn how to drive this car. So I drove in a roundabout and drove to the right instead of to the left where the car wash were. So I just drove around and had fun. But then I really wanted to try the car wash. I didn't know what would happen, so I was kinda sad to see that there was a person in front of me who was going to try the car wash before me. But the person who was in front of me and ready to drive into the car wash bumped into another person. And I forgot to say that the workers were driving in small police cars to control the kids. So since they were driving around, a worker came over and set them up and told them to drive forward instead of into the car wash. So then I drove into the car wash as the first person without knowing what would happen. When I was in the car wash, I thought that it wouldn't do anything because I was already halfway in the car wash. But then, I was shocked and happy because it worked. And right when I drove out, someone announced the challenge. Do you want a challenge? Then look no further. Let's see who can drive around in the roundabout the most times. And boom! That's what I did for the next 2 minutes. Why only 2? Because we had to stop. Yeah, we only drove in like 8 minutes. When I was chilling, driving around in my car, this girl also wanted to try the challenge. So we drove and drove. Luckily, she came when I'd already finished 1 round in the roundabout. So that meant that I was 1 round ahead of her. Honestly, when someone tells me to count how many times I do something, I always forget to count. So I hope I can use my math brain later. But then when we stopped, she took her hand up and said that she had driven 9 rounds in the roundabout. So then, with the use of a little math, I figured out that I had driven 10 rounds in the roundabout. So I took my hand up and said, I drove 10 rounds. And I could just feel that girl thinking that I was right. Those moments where you can just feel someone's anger or something, but they don't even look at you. Yeah, that was the moment. And I got my driver's license. There also were these barrels you could sit in and then they would spin around and stuff. Yeah, they were pretty cool. There also was this little civilization built of Lego. We walked around and saw this train kind of thing where a bunch of people was on it. Like in real life, like big train, not a Lego train. So we followed it and it led us to this thing. We thought that it was the train, so we got on and figured out that it wasn't. It was a flying train. It was really creepy at first because we didn't expect that. But after a little, it was kind of fun. So we tried it a few more times. When it was getting late, we decided to get some burgers. So we bought the burgers and took them in our room. And when I took a bite, that was the worst burger of all time. More worse than Birger Kung's fastelavnsburger. Fastelavn is a Danish tradition, kinda like Mardi Gras or Halloween. If you haven't tasted a burger, I'll just let you know that it tastes really bad. My mom also had her burger, and she didn't like it, but she said that it was bad, but not terrible. She took a bite of my burger while I was drinking some water to clear the awful taste. Actually, I didn't notice because I was just inhaling water like a cow. But when we got home, she told me that it didn't taste like something a burger or any kind of food should taste like. So I don't know what they put in that burger, but for all I know, I'm not gonna taste it for the next year. Not until they find some better cooks, which they probably never do. We also got these small Lego chocolates that were shaped like, you guessed it, Legos. There also was this treasure hunt, and I won't go into details, but the final word was soft ice. I just felt like I should mention that. I don't know why. On the second/last day, we just enjoyed Legoland. There was this booth where you could win Minecraft plushies. And if you don't know, I love Minecraft, especially creepers. It was almost impossible to win. The game was to throw a ball down in a bouncy bucket, and then you should get the ball to stay in the bucket without it bouncing out. And trust me, we tried and tried, but never got it. And we left Legoland without the plushie. So yeah, we left Legoland and came home at 10 p.m. And remember, this was on Sunday, so I had to go to school the next day. But I was really happy to come home and see my little fluffy kid. Oh, little fluffy kid. By the way, in my friend's video, I mentioned Vocal, and her mom had to come supervise Fluffy while we were in Legoland. But their car broke down, so she never came. So thanks a lot. But we came home and went straight to sleep. I finished the video. A very long one. Actually, like 10 minutes long. Like in a few seconds or something. I want to keep talking so I can say that I made an animation that was 10 minutes long. but I don't have anything else to say, so bye bye!